Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out People of Reddit. Story 1. I left him to find his own way home. I think they still have them, but when I was in high school they had dances where the girls exclusively asked the boys to. I had asked someone else but was told no. I was sad because I really wanted to go to the dance as I had never been to one. My friends found someone that had not been asked and convinced me to ask him. I did not really know him but really wanted to go with my friends. I came up with a creative way to asking him. This was the expected action when asking someone to a dance. If it was not elaborate, it was frowned upon, by writing, "Will you go to the dance with me?" on strips of paper, taping them closed with packing tape. Bad idea in hindsight. Put them in balloons and filled the balloons with shaving cream. He had to pop each balloon to find the hidden message. It was given to him in one of his classes and he said he would go with me even though some of the notes were not possible to read due to the crappy tape not working. The day of the dance I go to his house to pick him up. He was very standoffish from the very beginning. I took home to dinner at a really cool 50s dinner-themed restaurant we used to have in our town called Johnny B. Goods. He refused to order any food and would barely talk to me. I ordered food as I was hungry. He did decide when I was done eating to order a huge ice cream sundae. I didn't not order any dessert. After we finished I paid the bill. We take off and drive to the school where the C was being held. As soon as we get into the dance was being held. As soon as we get into the dance he immediately ditches me and goes and hangs out with his friends that were also there. I immediately find my friends and am upset, telling them he ditched me. We didn't not dance a single dance together, and anytime I would approach him he would turn his back to me and completely ignore me. I tried my best to have a good time being the third wheel to all my friends that had dates. When I decided I was done trying not to feel completely rejected after being so nice to the bum, I went home. I made absolutely not attempt to find him before leaving. I just told my friends goodbye and left. I didn't feel bad about it at all and still don't. In the weeks after I completely ignored him as he did me. Was it petty to leave him without even saying anything? Probably. Was I over it at that point? Yes. Story 2. Disengaged Doc. Adding my story to the bad doctor bashing posts today. I'm thankful to still be alive. I had gone to a primary care guy for years, and he seemed nice enough and very mellow. Perhaps a touch conceited, but that's par for course, right? I had to get referrals to an ENT for a deviated septum and allergies. This is during the pandemic when doctors were definitely overworked. Then I had ulcer symptoms that got really painful when I lay down to sleep and went straight to the ER. I had a great experience there, a CT scan and some blood work, and they said that they would treat the ulcer symptoms but that they were more concerned about the masses in my lungs. Recommended I come back in a few weeks to recheck. I followed up with my GP immediately after, per their recommendation. 2 weeks later, I can hardly walk and have lots of joint pain and my eyes are bloodshot. I get in with my GP again because my CT rescan wasn't yet due. I have to take an Uber because my wife is working and I'm in too much discomfort to use a brake pedal. The doctor's staff are very empathetic and helpful. I'm very polite and grateful that they could squeeze me in during the pandemic. Enter the doctor, and I hand him a list of my symptoms and their timeline, asking him for his recommendation and help since I'm in pain and falling apart. He glances at my list dismissively, sets it down without really reading it and says that he no longer wants to be my doctor and that I should pursue concierge medicine where I can get the level of attention I require. I was caught completely off guard. Important to note that we had never had a conflict, and I don't have a history of drug abuse or hypochondria. I'd been a fit, healthy patient without demands or drama. Routine stuff, and I'm a polite person. He sends me packing, no help and no referral. I've been fired as a patient. I couldn't believe it and didn't know how to respond, so I called an Uber and headed home. My wife is an epidemiologist and couldn't believe it, as she had helped me draft the list of symptoms, which were severe. She takes me to the ER and a CT scan shows that the lung masses have doubled in size. I am admitted to the hospital that night and given huge doses of steroids. When they take off my pants I have red sores all over my legs that were not there that morning. I'm deteriorating rapidly. A lung biopsy, skin biopsy, and blood workup later, I'm diagnosed with a rare form of vasculitis called Wegener's disease or GPA, granulomatosis with polyangiitis. In the 70s people didn't live longer than 5 mo's on average until treatments were developed in the early 80s by none other than Dr. Anthony Fauci. I'm in the hospital for a week in the oncology ward, where the nursing staff were outstanding and the doctors on rounds as well. I get out and start my infusion treatments and prednisone regimen. The revenge? Lawsuit? No, I reached out to the practice he worked for and went to the top. Put it all in writing and stated that he may not be such a good physician for actual human patients in need. Informed them that he was putting their entire business at risk of major lawsuits and a desk job may be more appropriate for him. They call a meeting with him that I'm not privy to. I hope it was a wake-up call for him. Being a physician isn't for everyone. Story 3. I found a Twitter troll's real identity and made him apologize. So, this all started about a month ago. I'm quite an avid UFC fan and often comment and engage with posts on Twitter. I can't remember exactly what the post was now, but someone didn't take too kindly to one of my. Story 4. Don't pay your debt, guess that will be your wedding gift. A couple of weeks ago, my uncle married his long-term girlfriend. As custom in my country, every wedding guest has to give the newlywed a gift for their marriage. For context, my parents have a mechanic workshop, my dad repairing the cars and my mom doing the documents part. Almost everyone in my town goes to get their car fixed there, including my other family members. As in every business, there are people who, after having the car fixed, promise to pay eventually because they are short on money, and never do. Obviously, family are the most common ones that fall into this category. My uncles, mom's brothers, have a running theme of not paying on time, or not at all, and my parents let them pass because, well, they are family. They prefer to let them go, over causing any more drama in the family. One of my uncles, let's call him T, took his car to my parents' workshop to get it fixed. Since he needed a car while his was getting fixed, they lent him the business car as is custom with the clients. A couple of months go by, and my parents are tired of asking him to pay them, and take his car away because is affecting the workshop at this point and my parents' tax money, since they have to use their own money to pay for his repair because he doesn't pay them. Next Saturday was my uncle's wedding and my mom already knew what she was going to do. Instead of giving them money or any of the gifts they asked for, she instead gave them the absent of his payment. Once the wedding passed, she gave them the envelopment containing all of his bills, summing to the absurd amount of 2,000. Basically, their wedding gift was getting their debt paid and not owing my parents money. They were pretty pissed about it, because they were looking forward to getting money, which in my opinion is quite entitled tbh. And if you asked me, that is quite a great wedding gift. I thought my mom acted in a petty manner, while also being nice. Too nice maybe. Edit, grammar. Story 5. How to annoy your shower-loving sibling. TLDR at bottom, SFW. Was staying with a friend over the weekend which reminded me of this. When I, 31F, was 16, my younger sister, who was 14, and I used to squabble over the shower at our parents' house. We used to shower in the evenings and would want to leave enough time for our hair to dry naturally, e.g. without using a hair dryer, before we went to bed. My sister developed an annoying habit of taking AAHs in the shower, to the point where if she got there first, I'd only have an hour or two before I went to bed. Especially in the colder months, this sometimes wasn't enough for my hair to dry fully. Anyway, the main shower at my parents' house was notoriously fiddly to get the right temperature. My older brother normally showered in the mornings, and preferred a colder shower, and it was a bit annoying to get the temperature up to something more comfortable for us delicate little siblings. What also didn't help was that if someone turned a hot tap on somewhere else in the house, the temperature would drop and not reset itself back to whatever was originally selected. After a few instances of going to bed with slightly damp hair, I decided something had to be done. So, I waited until my sister was mid-shower, and then went to the downstairs bathroom and turned the hot tap on just a little bit, for 15 seconds or so. I'd do this 5 or 6 times over the next 10 to 15 minutes, usually until I heard the goddamn it from the shower upstairs. Sometimes if I was feeling particularly petty, I'd use the kitchen sink, which was pretty much a fire hose. The shower would go ice cold immediately and the yelp from my sister upstairs would usually put me in a good mood for the rest of the evening. For some reason, it took my sister several weeks to catch on that I was doing this, and to be honest I'd probably done something to annoy my brother, who would then have told her as his act of revenge. Our parents, who up until now had no idea what was going on, eventually had to intervene when we had an argument at the top of the stairs. They had their own en-suite so were completely oblivious to our little shower war, but their solution was so simple I can't believe we didn't think of it ourselves. One of us would shower before dinner, the other after dinner. We'd take it in weekly turns, so the first week my sister would shower before dinner, the next week I would, etc. Cleverly, whoever showered before dinner also had a soft hours time limit, as my parents would serve dinner at the same time every day, so if you were late then you'd have to heat up / serve your own dinner. Like with most petty squabbles this didn't really come to a head again, and now my sister and I are older we can look back and laugh about it. TLDR, my sister spent too long in the shower when we were kids, so I turned the hot tap on in another bathroom to make the shower go cold and annoy her. Story 6. My time had come. I'm not sure how petty or revengeful this is but it certainly gives me that proud petty feeling. Sorry if I've waffled on a bit. For background this girl, let's call her Amy, took a dislike to me quite quickly and I honestly don't know why. I thought by university people would be a bit more mature but apparently not. In our first year I overheard a few talking about taking a trip and who could be potential drivers. My name was mentioned as I could drive and Amy instantly shut that idea down. It was a bit like being in Mean Girls with cliques. Another time Amy called me up in the middle of the night to call me a rude / mean name and hang up on me. I would sometimes get lunch out with a mutual friend in between classes but was sworn to secrecy so she would never find out. Mutual friend was worried Amy would be upset and kick off if she knew again. I have no idea what I could have done to upset her as I didn't really have many interactions with her. Anyway, fast forward to our final year. We had a debate as a class assessment. We weren't originally paired together but changes in circumstances meant we would paired for the assessed debate. We worked together on the debate and she even apologized for the late night call. It went quite well actually. We made a pre-plan of how the debate would flow in general and discussed our basic points and arguments. We were on opposing sides for the debate but it made sense to have a plan as it was an assessment. We shared our personal notes with each other too. I did pick up on a mistake on her notes but I didn't tell her as I could dismiss the argument in the debate and give my point a stronger case. Debate day came and I was ready for battle. I didn't trust her in the slightest and it showed in my counter-arguments. Her first point was the one with the mistake so I quickly shut that point down and that set the tone for the rest of the debate. Whatever she said I made a quick fire back and was the most assertive I have ever been in my life. I'm not sure who was more surprised me, Amy or the lecturer. News spread fast because I barely got through the front door before my housemates asked me what I had done and that Amy was upset. A few days later the other lecturer told me he heard what happened and was smirking when he said it. I got the impression he wasn't a big fan of Amy. I'm so glad I got to have my moment because for our entire course she looked down at me for no reason. It felt good and I got a better mark than her, which was a nice little bonus too. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.